You have to be very careful when you lie down. If your back is injured, support yourself with your arms. Once you get down into this position with your feet, soles of your feet together and your hands on your chest, that takes all the pressure off your whatever is bothering your lower back, and you feel instant relief. So this is the place to go during these 30 or 40 different places that if you need to rest or if you can't keep up. The whole idea of this is to do 8 breaths in each one of these positions. Hands over your head, that's for people who sit at desks. What this originated as is a way for me to relieve the problems I've had with my back. I've had it go out so that I couldn't even bend over and pick up socks on the floor for 2 weeks. I had sciatica pain in my left leg, and this really helps because since I started taking dance class when I was 12 years old in 1956, grab your knees, let this hang out here. Now if this hurts, then you have to pull in a little bit with your arms. So you just want to let the blood flow into places that are uncomfortable without actually trying to stretch it. So after my entire career sitting at a desk or at a computer or in an airplane seat or in college, and my back was wrecked, and I retired like 10 years ago. I'm pulling this out now. That's exactly where it hurts. If you grab your left leg with your right hand and pull in underneath your other leg, when I first started this, I could hardly reach my foot, and it was intense pain in my knee, and each time I go it gets a little closer. So I've been doing this for 4 months, but it took me 5 years after I retired of taking ballet class, 2.5 years locally and 2.5 years in New York with Elena Kunikova, and then in 2010 I worked on this for 4 years, a way of doing this myself, other foot. A way of relieving this without having to go to dance class. So what this is a distillation or an extraction of all the things that make your body symmetric and take pressure off your back and develop the strength so that it doesn't go out. You can wiggle around your hips. The idea is to get everything running smoothly. So we roll over on our stomach and do yoga pigeon. I roll onto the side of it because it gets it to the right place, and I hold myself up with my elbows at first to see if it's going to hurt. If you go down, if you put your arms all the way out to the sides and put pressure, and then pull back on that back toe like someone's pulling on it, that's the maximum stretch. This really hurts at first, and this is one of the most comfortable things after a while. I think this does a real job at pulling out the hips from sitting at the desk, which I think is the major problem. So what I'm saying is, if you build up your strength and your stretch, you get past the point where your back goes out, switch legs, and the whole area is strengthened. So what happens is when you overwork, instead of a popping pain, you get a little band of discomfort along your back, which you can pull out and goes away. So I can recover from, if I sit in the car for 8 hours, my back really hurts, and then if I sit down and do this for 20 minutes, it's fine. So I think this is called a child in yoga. I put my hands down by my sides and put pressure on my forehead. See how high my butt is off my heels? That's because of my hips are tight from sitting at a desk. So the theory behind this, as I was saying, is that rather than a chiropractor or a massage pushing you back into the place which is where you're supposed to be symmetrically and without anything hurting, rather than having them push you back there, you push that back yourself, and you build up the strength to hold that back there. And so this pain doesn't come back because you're working at your desk, but yet you're helping yourself. This is pushing on my elbows too. This is real. If you pull on your stomach, you can really get it. You can really feel it in your lower back. The idea is to work your head around here. Yes, no, right, left, up and down, around a few times. So that's why this is called body repair and maintenance. If you do this every day, it's like after a few months, it's like walking to the mailbox and getting the mail. This is a back stretch, shoulders down, full stomach in, long neck. If in ballet, people reach back with their elbows, with their with their feet, reach back and grab their feet with their hands and like rock there with almost their head touching their feet, but that could really hurt. Roll over on our back. We're going to do crunches here. I try to do 20 of these, 20 to the front, 20 to each side. Legs flopped out. In between, if you feel a little tired, you go into this rest position and take 4 breaths. It's not a, it's a time when you have to listen to your body. You have to feel what's going on, and you can't be watching TV when you do this because you have to understand that the point of it is to use gravity to cause the blood to flow into tight places. Technically, you're supposed to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And for instance, each time you come up, you should be exhaling. The theory is to blow the weight up. So when you're doing the exertion, you push out, exhale. If you can only do 4 or 6 or whatever, just lay there and just wait until the next thing. So we're on the second, we're on the first side crunch. Hands on the stomach, time to rest. Roll over to the second side. 20 of these. The whole theory behind this is that each thing happens on both sides so that our bodies are working for this 20 minutes completely symmetrically, and that doesn't happen. For instance, in 1976 I ran New York City Marathon, and that was before they had those handicap ramps on the curbs. So if you wanted to run on the sidewalk, you had to go up and down every time you hit a street block onto the street. So after a while doing this, all of a sudden my right quadriceps started to really hurt, and I figured out that I was unconsciously always lifting the weight onto that curb with the right foot, building that up. And I found, resting again, rolling over on our stomach, these are arm plies or knee push-ups. I try to do 20 of these, and this is the breathe out on the way up, in on the way down. So the idea with the asymmetric body is that we're not even aware of it, but the way we get into a car, always the same way. when we go upstairs, we don't even know we use the same foot. So what happens is one side of our body is weak and one is strong, and for me the weak side always goes out. Back into the, rock the hips around, loosen it up, back into the yoga child position. So the other aspect of this is you have to undo the curvature of your lower back from sitting, which tightens up. Sitting tightens up your hips, which pitches your pelvis forward. Okay, now we're sitting up for the first time. This is a really good demonstration of asymmetry. So what I'm doing is I'm holding myself up here in this position by crunching over on my right side and stretching on my left hip. But since all day, every day, we work with our one side and are overdeveloped, when I turn around, you're going to see a great difference and a huge amount of effort that it's going to take me to even sit up straight. At first I couldn't even turn around here and spiral around here and stretch your back before. So my point with the asymmetry and the flat stomach, if you get your stomach flat, you pull the pelvis up into a straight position, which takes the pressure off your back, which counteracts the sitting. So those are the two goals. Flat stomach, and work symmetrically for this period. See, I'm pushing myself over to here, and now I have to put that arm over to get that weight. And this is like pulling on my stomach to get this over. And there's a little pain in my left hip as that gets stretched out. See, that's not as, my theory is that's not as stretched because I don't use it as much. That could be wrong. But you can certainly see that, the crookedness here. If you lie on your back and put a ruler across your hip bones, you're going to see the ruler is closer to the floor on the left or right side from having a muscular, one side more muscular. This is, I don't want to just get my hamstrings out and do this right away. But, so what I do is, the first time I sit up, I let everything be flexible and flex, so the knees are flexed. I don't try to point my toes. I'm just feeling my whole back right now. From the back of my neck to the top of my toes, it's all connected. There's no knots. I can feel, the sore spots, and I concentrate on the tight spots, and I let the blood flow into there. Now this is difficult. This is the actual hamstring stretch right here. There's no faking this. What's happening is you're going to feel this all the way up the inside of your legs, all the way around your back. Try to point your toes. Pointing your toes makes all these exercises harder. 8 breaths, sitting. Work your feet. Point, flex, point, flex. This is different from yoga because you have to bend over, and the idea is to get your weight all the way pulled over. This is the same exact thing as the hamstring stretch. Now you're feeling all of it connected. The more you do this, you see how my hands are there? When I first started doing this, I couldn't even touch. Now I can sit out there with my hands on, touching on the floor over the elbows. That's one of the surprises. All of a sudden, one day you'll be sitting there with your eyes closed, and your fingers will touch the floor, and you'll go, wow, that just worked. It's best to change legs and do this, too. I forgot to tell you that way back at the beginning. Okay, this is the same thing, just fold over, roll over, look down, close your eyes, feel all the blood in your back, and have your right foot stretched out. But back, every single time that I grab my right ankle, when I lay on my back at that first thing, my knee pops every day, and after that I don't get any pain. Switch legs. There seems to be popping and pulling that I hear in my body during this. And all of a sudden when I get up from this, things that hurt don't hurt anymore. These leg exercises are tough because that's where it hurts. Now this is important here. Now your legs are out, comfortably wide position, but your hands are back because you don't want to bend forward and go over, because there's a great deal of leverage here. You notice my butt's up on the mat and my heels are down. I've got a little height advantage. So I go over gingerly, make sure it's all okay, because right here you could do some damage if you just jerked or plunged over. Hold this for 8 counts. Feel your feet. Flex point. Turn out the legs. You're going to feel this down in your hips and where your back connects to your hips in the back. Now you go over to one side and just hang to the side. Now you're pulling out the left side right here. This is exactly, I'm completely in control of the part that hurts right here. I mean, this, I can feel the damaged part, and I can feel myself pulling it just a little bit. Over to the other side. When I was doing this, see how my elbow is next to my knee? I was stretching this. This I used to do 30, however many years ago, in the late 70s, and all of a sudden, as I was doing this the other day, I felt my elbow touch my knee because I had gotten that stretched out and hadn't felt that in 30-some years. So now you got to push, widen the legs a little, hang over. This is a delicate operation here where you might just want to sit or not push this too hard. I rock this around a little bit and trying to loosen up those joints, but if you don't, you might not want to do this at first. Back down, rest position, hands on the stomach. We're going to get up on the mat and finish this up by doing splits. Of course, we can't do the splits, but if you can do the splits, this is what you would do. But we're going to gently, both hands off to the side of the mat, and then put your hand on the corner of the mat, or your foot on the corner of the mat. And what you're trying to pull out is your right leg at this point, and then when you go back, your left. So this would be the splits for a professional dancer. 8 counts in this position, 8 breaths. Then go back. I mean, I can get into the point where I think I'll be able to sit on my heel back there, but point flex, you've got to be able to hold your weight up here. Of course, my knees are sending messages up to my brain. What's the story on the 25 pounds that we're carrying around these days? We don't like that. And maybe that's why the popping is, but, that's so the two major points of this thing is to work symmetrically as much as you can, and to try to pull your stomach in so that you don't have a lower back problem from sitting. Change legs, sit back. Just stretch out a little bit, and then I get into this position of sitting. This is the quad stretch and the knee stretch that used to be so painful I almost could not even get into this position and stand a second of it. But now the whole thing, not yet. Yeah, right here when I come up. Anyway, this shows, this is a really good demonstration of what a whole 30 or 40 years sitting at a desk does. My butt is off my heels because my hips are so tight, which pulls my stomach forward and down. So the whole thing is a fight. Anyway, when you're a kid, I mean, it was a long time ago, but you could just sit down and bop right down on your back. Curl your toes, push yourself up, take your toes off the mat for a grip, and walk yourself back on your hands. This is where it all happens. This is how you feel, how you did. Everything here should be completely loose, pullable. Put some weight on your hands, rock around. Feet are in parallel at this point. Turn your hips in, get the feel of that, and then bend with your feet, with your heels in, and feel how different that feels. And then go back out, in and out. Now when you get up, you got to walk your hands walk your hands up your body. Grab the mat, push off on your knee. Thank you very much. Good job.